The XY Advisor podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. All discussion is limited to publicly available information and should not be interpreted as legal, professional, or financial advice. XY Advisor does not hold an AFS license nor provide any financial services. Before making investment decisions, you should obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor.
Ben Nash here. I'm a co-founder at XY Advisor and founder of financial advice business Pivot Wealth. My business baby I started from scratch a bit over 6 years ago. In that time, I've leveraged some of the learnings of the XY community to scale the business and become one of the better known financial advice businesses for high income accumulators. You can join me each Tuesday as I have the privilege of interviewing some amazing people where I'll selfishly be able to continue my personal journey to improve every aspect of my advice process, and hopefully you can learn a few things on the journey as well. Jump over to xyadvisor.com if you haven't signed up already to share and learn from other advisors, or simply download the app.
This series is brought to you by Hub24, one of Australia's leading providers of integrated platform, technology and data solutions to the wealth industry. By working with licensees and advisors, Hub24 is delivering innovative solutions and service excellence that enables you to do business your way, creating efficiencies for your business and value for your clients. These are just some of the reasons why advisors have rated Hub24 number 1 for value for money and best managed portfolio functionality 6 years running, empowering better financial futures together. Find out more at hub24.com.au.
Hey guys, Ben Nash from the XY Advisor team, and today I'm here with Troy Theobald. Troy is a founder and head of financial services at RFS Advice. He's won pretty much all the awards that you can win, but been regularly listed in the Barron's Top 50 Advisor, Financial Standards, Power 50, IFA Excellence Awards, Investment Advisor of the Year, and a bunch of stuff. He's been in the industry for a fair while. I'll let him tell the story on that side, but keen to learn from some of those lessons and some of his tips on how to create the amazing business that he's done through RFS. Troy, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you for being nice on the time of the industry there.
Well, as I said, I'll let you tell the story, but I know that you got a deep experience there, which obviously it's been a journey in your business. So maybe that's a good place to start, and no doubt you're going to tell it in better words than me. But can you tell us about your journey into advice and how you've ended up where you are today?
Yeah, probably. I mean, staff now have selected it as a profession, which is fantastic. But back in the dear old 90s, when I came through and did an accounting degree, and as did a number of the directors on our license, had a similar path. We went to university, did an accounting degree, started in accounting. Worked out they expected you to be sitting in a chair at 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. and you weren't going to be near a client for about 10 or 15 years. Somewhere along that journey you think, this isn't for me, and luckily the firm I was at on the southern and the Gold Coast, they had a planner who'd come back from Merrill Lynch in Japan and did this thing called financial planning, and I was the offsider at the time, and myself and one of the fellow co-directors, Brad Wall, met at the very first thing back at Advisor Investment Services days in the 90s, and the two advisors we were with, the two of the largest at the time, and we were the young punks that they thought were there to probably serve them lunch. And I think that's back when we were like, oh no, we're paraplanners, as in sub-professionals. So that's as far back as it started, and that journey then came through working with an accounting firm, building that business there, and then opportunity came up with a much larger accounting firm. There was a BRW Top 100 accounting firm that assured me they didn't have enough high net worth clients to have an advisor. So I offered even to do tax returns, and within the first 2 weeks I was that busy with planning and never looked back. So that ran well for a decade. They shared the office, took care of that, but it was a bit of a lonely journey, and employee number one's still here with me today, and you were a jack of all trades doing everything back then, and you do get tired and you get concerned about burnout. You meet some right people along the way, and that's where I actually had met with Paul Forbes, who was GM of Professional Investment Services at that time, to come over and buy the other half of the business and take that burden off and just allow. I like seeing clients. I like managing the portfolios. I'm not overly excited as Ben has seen me with tech today. There's lots of things that I know I'm really bad at, so I love to outsource those. So having that relationship's worked really well. We've gone from strength to strength there and just really tried to build out that offering along the way.
Absolutely. And we're just chatting a bit before we fired up the recording, and the space that you play in is that sort of pre and post retiree space, and talking about your team structure. You've got things set up in a way that allows you to deliver an award-winning service, but do it across large numbers of clients in a really effective way. Mentioned that you personally the sort of frontline advisor for around 300 clients, as well as, heavily involved in the running of your license, plus all of the, media content team, things that you're doing, and, jumping in from time to time on some of the other advisors' meetings. How do you structure things to be able to work at that level of volume, but do it in a way where you're maintaining the quality that you want to be delivering for your clients?
Yeah, so there's a couple of components. I mean, you've got to be systemised to do it. So we empowered the key sort of, call it middle management or higher management now, to control and build the system with the team. And we used to laugh, it's RFS version 10, version 20 version. So if we get to a point, now we've got 20, 21 odd staff now. When Paul joined, we had 3. So we've had to change approaches, and you get to pressure points. And when we do get to those, we just literally jump in the room and go, where are the pressure points? And Paul will do that regularly, probably on a 6-month basis. And things that worked for a team of 5 won't work for 10 and won't work for 20. I wish there was an off-the-shelf solution in financial services. I haven't seen one yet. Love someone to build one. I'll gladly take it. But we've had to adjust it along the way. So we've built that team approach now. It looks a lot like an accounting firm where you can have the primary advisor or the senior partner as such. They'll have fully qualified advisors under them that do 90% of the work and contact with the client, and it gives them contact with the client much earlier in their career with higher net worth clients. They're in the room when decisions are made, so it makes it a more exciting role for them. And then off the back of that, then we'll add administration and graduates under that and bring them through that way. So it's taken us a while to get to that approach, because it's love to say we tried them all at the start and they worked perfectly. They didn't. Reality is you try a few things and we did one of the advisors and we gave her a panel and moved over to the side, who was very good with new clients and just wasn't getting the runs on the board she deserved. She's a better advisor than that. And you sort of realise that, a lot of those referrals are because of Paul and I have been in the industry for a long time. Around town, people go, go see Troy, go see Paul, go see the team. So it's realising, all right, maybe I do need to step back into that role of the meet and greet and then introduce the team and the quality and then come into their meetings as and when needed as well. But the model portfolios was the key to doing that. It took the administration out and the burden. So if I walk into every room, I can ask the advisor what's the allocation, and if it's 5 in cash, 10 or 20% in a real return, and then core or growth, I know exactly where the money is and what that client's experience will be before I even open up on the TVs. We have the TVs with live portfolios where we do the reviews. So you're not getting surprises, and I think that's the key, that the day of the old wrap and master trust and a client having legacy products, you just need to move away from that and move forward.
Yeah, I think that you've got to have that consistency you've got to find a way that you do know all of those things. And if you don't have consistency, then it makes it a lot harder to get there. So what does it actually physically look like, the team that's underneath you, and how is it structured? You mentioned that you've got, a couple of other ARs that are supporting you with supporting your clients, and then there's admin team. But is it, and maybe I'm asking this question selfishly, that I might be able to get a couple of tips for our team, but is it a dedicated admin that's linked to an advisor, or is it like an admin team that's spread across multiple? What does the resourcing look like around that?
Yeah, we tried a few approaches that it was more shared when we were probably up to 10 or 12 staff. And then myself and Darko, the other partner we brought in, so he does wealth accumulators. So he did win Risk Advisor of the Year and all those things, which for me is fantastic, because I can go, I've got an expert on tap, he's going to take care of this. If it's a client of mine, I'll literally walk out of the room and go and have a coffee and leave him with it, because his and his team do that all day, every day. So we've made sure we've got more specialties. We've got a team that just do aged care and Centrelink advice, same thing. I'll bring that team in, do the handover, out the door. We don't all need to be doing the same thing, but when the teams do that role and do it every day, they get better at it, they get more efficient. So, and the other thing we did is we have a standalone review team that they control the review process. So, like a platinum client might be every 6 months, they'll call the meetings, the documents, everything, ensure it's done, making sure we're meeting all FDS and all those obligations. And my team aren't sitting there personally doing that. So I can literally walk back, grab a pack, 20 seconds before a client walks in. I know exactly what it'll be. We turn the TVs on, we log into the portfolio. It's the same experience for me every meeting, and it's repeatable, and we know where it is. And then I can bring one of the other team in from my team. They're in their 20s. They can sit in front of a client with $7 to $10 million then and really participate in the meeting and be seen as the go-to for a lot of it. Like those sort of style of clients generally a lot further down in your career. I know I had to wait a long time. How do you bring that forward? And it's really having that team approach. And you pick up good tips. Like, one of my good mates, Rob McGregor from GPS Wealth there, it was about 6-7 years ago, Troy, one day you're not going to want to kick the goals. You're going to be so excited when your team kicks them, and you'll be able to clap all like the coach sideline, like, mate, that would never happen to me. I was like, mate, now I clap. I'd rather kick on the ball, pass it, here you go. And you see the joy on their face. Probably you do change as your career goes through. But, from that perspective, adopting that team approach, and that's certainly what's coming out of the US. That's what came out of some of those barons when you talk to. I mean, they're insane. They manage billions of dollars with 3 or 4 people. I don't know how you do that because compliance in Australia is heavy. Ideal client, my team are probably that 1 to 6, 7 mil, and 7, 10 mil and above is they probably get a bit more hands-on service in there. Those sub that mil, that 500 to mil, we have a team tooled up to do that. Got a female advisor, fantastic. In her 30s there, taking care of those clients. That's really her sweet spot. And then those that have some aged care entitlements, we do have a designated aged care division. They will do clients that are needing part aged care and part income support there because they're tooled up to do that. We have some of the people in there, and that's probably been our busiest team because we're adding to that. That's probably more our give back. It is definitely not the most profitable division in financial services. So people looking somewhere to go. Everyone sees all this aged care. I'll give you the tip. It's not it, because you're dealing with families, you're dealing with dynamics. It's very stressful. It's got to be done quickly, and the actually charge is not a significant amount based on what's going on. But for our clients that we've now built to a level, it's probably our retiree clients are using it for their parents, and they always laugh when they're in their 60s and 70s. It's like, no, their age gap is probably 20 years to their mum or dad. So they're dealing with their own retirement. Dealing with their parents going into that. So we sort of had the service we needed to provide, and it does add another string to the bow.
Totally, it's crazy complicated, that stuff, and that's just from a technical perspective, let alone the personal dynamics and the things that that go around those decisions. It's also the sort of thing, in my experience, that you only really get one bite of the cherry with as well. It's like you're going to structure things in a way, and then it's going to happen. There's no going back from there. So it's like you've got to get it right at the start. And from the nature of, where people are at that stage, it's typically, again, in my experience, I found it challenging for people to accept a fee that's commercial, given all of those inputs that are there. Probably helpful if they've got their kids as clients that understand and know you guys already, that might be able to help or help guide that process. But I think it's the sort of thing that you want to have a strong muscle before you start dabbling in there. Otherwise, that can lead to trouble. Troy,
from our perspective, that's really where we found that you needed to have a specialty, and that's probably the evolution from a generalist to running all of a practice to picking the areas you enjoy doing, specialising, and then allowing your team to specialise. And that's probably the evolution we've been on and still on.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like obviously a lot of changes over the time that you've been in business to get from the point where you're, one advisor, they're seeing the clients, doing all the work yourself, to the way that you got things structured now, teams of teams, the specialists in different areas. What's been the most challenging part of that evolution for you?
There's certainly lots, and they pop up when you're not expecting them, I suppose. It can be anything from administration platforms suddenly having issues from nowhere to that. it's that constant unexpected, I suppose, that just keeps rearing its head and having the ability to get back up. So I think having the right team of people around, like we moved to a license and a co-op there. We've got Hugh from Centaur, we've got Everlesco guys and Jeff and Marshall and Guide Financial up the Sunshine Coast. So having a good team around you, I think, has been the key. It can be lonely out there otherwise in Advice Land. We came out of professional investment services where we had a really, through the 2000s to probably 28, 9, 10, you had big conferences, you had a network, you had a community, and that all sort of fell away when markets sort of had issues and dealer groups broke up and then banks moved out of industry and it sort of fragmented everyone. So I think, that's where the likes of GPS have popped up and some of those groups to give people a sense of community. We went out, we had a desire to reduce costs for client, reduce margin and everything, which was our passion to build. And to do that, we needed to be self-licensed then. We needed to work with, then Praemium worked with us to get agreements with product providers and pass it back to the client. And then size and scale now, I think we've got nearly on $1 billion between the offices in our model management approach, and that just gave us more size and scale to reduce that to clients. And now the evolution of that is, well, now how do we actually take that out even further, even to the marketplace or external advisors to use and have it documented going, this is what we've built, it's taken a long time, and as we can get bigger as a group, we can get more discounts, we can pass those to clients, and here's the process. So that evolution's ongoing, and that's probably taking a lot of focus at the moment, how to do that. And we've had to change structures and all sorts of things along the way, and I think that ability to just have the right people around to get you through, because if I look back to 2006, 7, 8, I was the classic advisor there. What would I have been there? Mid-30s-ish, and then heading to burnout because you're trying to do everything. And I went to a conference overseas, and for me it was the values-based advice. That was we're in Hawaii, PIS had a conference, I just grabbed that and came back and totally changed the way we did everything from that perspective. And Paul, same conference, and Ron Kaufman presented there, and it was around process and this milkshake story you use today, and what in your office makes you look silly that you could do that you tell people you can't, and we keep those two lenses. So we've got passion for different areas, and I think that's what really works.
Yeah, I think that balance is important, and also having other people on the similar journey around you as well. I know, that's why the XY community sort of kicked off back in those early days. That it's like if you without the being in a bank or being in some big institution, that you are sort of just going at it on your own. And one of the great things about advice is that people are generally pretty happy to share their secrets when it's ultimately helping the consumers at the end of the day. And that puts things into perspective, because if you're just toiling away all on your own, it's easy to feel like you're the only one that's sort of going through it, but everybody is sort of in the same boat. So that having good people around you is important, and obviously get some good ideas from those other guys. Plus, I'm sure Hugh's probably got good jokes or something that he can add to the party.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And that you look at those, and that it was around that mid 2000s in there is when Hugh and I sort of became mates, and at the time I'd won a couple of the awards and I was speaking all over the place, and that was really when I was getting tired. And you get someone to give you that sort of pep along, which is good. And he's taken up the mantle out running around talking at lots of different events. Paul's done that for a long time. So in our firm, Paul will go and do that. It's not that I'm not engaged. By the time I'm running the team, doing the models, I've now kicked off a monthly radio show that's taking a bit of time for retirees. It's just FM talk back there. It's just the give back. So everyone's finding their different ways to do it. I do stuff through the girls' school, president of the Fathers Club and things there. So I found my avenues for give back there. It's just as different people pick up the mantle from time to time to help out other advisors. But yeah, you do find everyone's pretty open and sharing. I don't find ours as an industry or a profession that people aren't. It's just probably time poorness is what stops a lot of it. If someone wanted to ring up, pick you and have a coffee and sends me a message, it's probably not a problem at all. But from that perspective, it's just having that time to go out and do it on that bigger scale is where people struggle. Absolutely.
Troy, I'm keen to talk about the Barron's list, and not so. I think it's a great what those guys are about, but just the substance that actually sits behind that. See that you've been sort of listed there since 2017 or
it's an interesting one.
How did that evolve?
I mean, the Barron's list, they brought it to Australia, and I don't know how we first got invited. It was an invite to appear and put figures forward, but it gives you access to some of the firms that may not be as engaged in the advice community, like I don't know, maybe the Morgan Stanleys and some of those big, large Macquarie groups that you tend not to see them at different events. I certainly don't come across those guys in functions or like if there's many conferences around the place. So it has spread that the broader community. It just gives you that interaction. It's probably a different model to what most advisors are running because they're large institutionally run groups. Well, I think the majority of industry are probably more advisor with a handful of staff, depending on different scale and building and growing. So they do run a totally different model. So it's interesting to see, the trend for them is definitely towards, wholesale larger clients and above. And I think that leaves a massive opportunity for the advice community for those clients, up to probably that $1, even $2 million that, we can add a lot of value. They do want and are happy to pay for advice. They're appreciative. For us, that's a real sweet spot as a firm because those clients are really appreciative. If you can keep them on track, keep them updated, show them a strategy, let them know what's going on, I find that works really well. Some of the high net worth clients, they come with higher needs, higher time commitments as well, which is hard to have a number of those. And they tend to be distracted because they've got so many other opportunities and things they're exploring. So, it does just give you a different breadth of knowledge. And, the weird thing is when you're finding these style of advisors out there going, well, we don't deal with anyone now under $1 or $2 million, it's sort of a big change from where the industry was 5 or 10 years ago.
And there's a lot of those when you actually look at the list themselves that people talk about their minimum balances and where they won't see clients underneath. And I think a lot of people think that in order to make a list like that, you have to be dealing with those ultra high net worth or the 8 and even 9 figure type portfolios. But it sounds like that's not the case. It's just managing the money, but doing it at scale.
Yeah, from there, I mean, there's no doubt that those big name brands do attract some of those larger clients because they're going there for the brand. So that's something we've still got to get over. I'm not sure where we would rank in size at the coast with about half a bill or more, somewhere around about that, depending on what markets are doing at the moment. But it's one of those things, even at that scale, you're not finding those massive clients just walking in the door going, oh, you guys have got size and scale and have been around a long time. So, the name brand definitely helps.
Troy, what's the most difficult skill that you've had to master to be the advisor or business owner that you are today?
The most difficult skill is when you hand something over to someone and they're not going to do it the way you would do it. And that really is a struggle. I struggled with that for a long time. If someone's doing it 80 or 90% in my little world of how good it could be, you got to get past those issues, and then you do find them running with it, and as they get more confident, they're probably doing a better job than you would do anyway. But in those initial stages, that was really hard to hand over control of different areas and outcomes to people. Once you get to a size and scale of momentum, you're forced to it. So you sort of lean in as opposed to leaning out. And once I've got to that and embrace it, now it's fantastic. Like I walk into a meeting now, so if I don't have to be involved in that, that's fantastic. Whereas, even 5-6 years ago, I'd be still trying to have an opinion. It's like, no, just, you got this. I look forward to the result. I don't need to be here, do I? So it's just, but that's the evolution. It's just having the right people around you as well.
Any tips on how to make it easier to do that? Or it sounds like perhaps it's just grow to the point where you physically can't do it yourself.
I think it's just accepting and recognising it. We won't put ourselves through this NCAD program around biases and things, and it's a bit of a look in the mirror, and it's like, you should be dog-headed, like things your own way and all those things. It's like, okay, but I'm still probably, I don't know, I don't sit still, so I'm still in the door here by 7:30 and 5:30 to 6 I'm wandering out. So I don't find it a chore coming to work. I like things to be done when I go home. I used to take work home. I don't now. I will not work at home. So when I go home, I'm home. That was one good tip I picked up somewhere, that probably there was a reasonable period of time I wasn't as present as I should have been in my own house. And you're sitting at a conference and someone stands on stage, is your family getting the best or the worst of you? And you went, oh, crap, you got me. Yeah, I'm running in the eating dinner, chucking the headphones on and playing on the computer, and, this is an exciting build, but when you got kids and everything there, they just want dad to be around and your wife wants you to be around. So they're little things you learn along the way. Hopefully you learn and improve, but it's still a process. So for me, that's why the radio community Give Backing on the coast, or being the Fathers Club Give Back at the school, so that I can be a bit more present now that I'm in a position I can. Whereas, kids were born, I was probably in the office. I know I was in the office the next day. You're having that conversation with wife. We know what pays the bills, and this client needs this done. And as a couple, you just have to do what you need to do. As businesses grow, thankfully, you're not quite as time strapped for those situations.
I think I've sort of inadvertently stumbled on an effective strategy for being present at home, which is have your kids so close together that your wife just can't deal with them all on her own. And you're sort of forced into making sure that you're home for dinner and bath time and all the rest of it. But I still do some work from home, but I don't work in the evenings anymore. And I found that helps a lot with that presence and making sure that they are getting the best of you, at least most of the time. Troy, my last question for you: if you could go back to your 1990s, as you put it self, and like fresh-faced in the advice game, and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I suppose it would be just this. I went to a presentation the other week, and I was the head of Bond University, talking about the hero's journey, and I wish I'd heard that years ago. And basically, look at all those sort of stories. There's the ups and the downs and everything in the end, and hopefully it all works out in the end. And it's just accepting that it's a journey more, because sometimes it can feel like really, adversity is just coming at you. Why is this SOA? Why do we need to do this? Why is that SR? Why do I need to go back to why do I need to do voice notes? It's like, oh my God, I just want to help these people in front of me. Why can't I help them? Because I have to give them 80 pages and a big bill. Once you're accepting of what is there and moving forward, I think that's probably where I'm better at than I was terrible at it for a long period of time. So once you accept and work with what's there, then everything becomes easier. It's easier to find solutions when you're not yelling and complaining at the problem. And it's those things you can't control and change that are put upon you. And I think it was like when we all wanted higher education, I don't want people walking in my door having had a horrible experience, sold a product that was inappropriate and shouldn't have been done. I want them to walk in, either they've got new money, they may have had an issue with the advisor on service or something, but fundamentally the advice was good. And that's where we get to, and hopefully we do. There's less of those issues, but you do still see that walk in. What was the pain? We had to go back and do more study. I had a business degree, a DFP, a CFP, and I've got a fair bit of study there, and 20 plus years of CPD. Surely I'm from the TASA accredited whatever, but we went back and we did the ethics and we did the FASEA exams, and we just rolled with it and said, all right, we're just going to embrace it, and hopefully the outcome is a better industry, and the industry is then a profession, and when we're there, then we're all happier. And I think the carnage has been the number of advisors left, but hopefully the quality that's left are there for the right reasons, delivering better outcomes to more Australians. And if we get to that, then that's great for everyone.
Yeah, well, I think that now it's like the people that are here are the people that are committed to stay, and it doesn't guarantee success, but I think it does help with ensuring that more people are getting better advice outcomes more often. And I think that's what leads to that more of the groundswell and getting past that 1 in 5 number that they talk about with Australians getting financial advice. Something that I feel like is sort of seeing shift at the moment. So I think it's an awesome time to be in advice as that filters through. Troy, thank you so much for sharing your insights. So much gold there. Really, really appreciate it. I know that you've got plenty of plates you're keeping spinning, so I appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you. And people like yourself need to keep spreading the word and spreading the message and sharing with advisors out in the community, because, look, COVID created really bad habits and made it really isolating for lots of people. So I applaud you on continuing to do that.
I know, yeah. I think we've all got some rebuilding to do after being bunkered up for such a long period, but starting to get there, more and more stuff happening. So get around it. And as you say, sharing that knowledge helps us all be better and have that sense of community as we're following that hero's journey, as you say as well. Troy, thanks again, mate. And team, we will catch you on the next one.